and I'm gonna do what I do at the end of every stream. Well, what I've been doing since I got back into streaming. And that's telling you guys what I watched since the last time I streamed, what I watched or read. Anyway, so I watched American Horror Story Season 5, Episode 2 and 3. And that's good. It's the hotel season, and I love American Horror Story. It's really good. I really like the actors. It's I just really like it. And then I started American Horror Story Season 9, Episode 1. And the reason why, I read what it was about. And it's called 1984, right? And, basically, it's about these campers. It's set in 1984, go figure. And it's about these campers that, well, they're not campers. They're like this group of kids that are going to be temporary camp instructors. Like they're kids, but they're like, I guess you would call them teens. Like, they're working, I guess. Anyway. And then we find out that the camp that they're going to has this, I guess, past, where it was victim to this, I guess, serial killer, right? And he killed a whole lot of them. So, right. Which is the premise to Friday the 13th, sort of. You know what I mean? And then the serial killer gets locked up, and he went to jail. And then it's set like 14 years later, because this happened in 1970 or whatever, or something like that. Or 10 years, I don't know. Anyway. That was when the murders were set, at least. Anyway, so to the present, and it's these kids that are going to be camp instructors, and that's 1984, right? And they, they're at the camp, and then what ends up happening is that the murderer that's locked up, and he's sort of like in a mental asylum / prison thing, so he supposedly breaks out, and, yeah, he's on the loose, which is the premise to Halloween, sort of. From what I've read, they're homages to that, and from my experiences of watching Friday the 13th and, Halloween, I can agree with that. And so, I really liked that, because I really like my horrors, especially my slashers, especially my 80s horrors, especially my horror franchises, and I really like the 80s too, because I find the 80s really interesting. I think it was a really, I like society's modern evolution. I feel like the 80s, there was a big thing of pop culture, and I guess they recovered from the war at that time, and so they became more conservative. Anyway, we won't get into why I like the 80s, but I really like the 80s, right? And so that's why I started it, because I read that about it, you know what I mean? And so I watched the first episode, then I watched the second episode and the third episode. And it's good. I feel like it loses its 80s touch as the episodes go on. Like, it started off with the kids that I was talking about doing it like an 80s exercise, sort of like Jane Fonda workout style, right? Which I just loved, and it was to 80s music, and they would showcase the characters. Like, it would almost be like a freeze on the characters when they got up to them. And then it would have their names in like block letters on the screen. It was really, really cool. I love the scene. But I feel like it loses its, like, 80s touch and becomes more just like Friday the 13th / Halloween, I guess. Which is cool, but I really like the 80s aspect of it. Like, I really liked that Jane Fonda workout. But it's still really good. But it just feels more like American Horror Story rather than so much 80s. I don't know. I guess that's me comparing it to other 80s stuff like Ready Player One or the Goldbergs, which are just heavily references and stuff that I love. But yeah. And then I also watched season 2, episodes 6, 7, and 8 of In Living Color. And so yeah, that's what I watched. If you have any questions about these, if you're like fascinated about them, if you like them or dislike them or have seen them or haven't seen them, let me know. And let me know why you like or dislike them. I want to know. Yeah. And if you guys have recommendations for me, let me know. And yeah. I hope you guys are enjoying me doing my little reading and watching recaps. I'm really enjoying doing it. Saying it to you guys.